Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we got Larry Mazza.
Hey, what's happening?
What's going on, Larry?
I got to show you something. On the start of your intro, you have the gun that shoots the bullet, right?
Yeah.
Right there on the light. We got the gun, and you see the bullet shooting?
Yeah.
There's the bullet on that side.
Yeah.
That's funny you did that.
That's a cool book cover, man. It looks
good.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah, my printer did a real good job. Real good job with that.
I see you just ordered a bunch more books.
I did. I got them all here. I got some in my storage place because it's hard to keep them all around. There's a lot of boxes. And the sales are going ridiculous. It's almost like I just started again. This wave of publicity.
It's controversy, crazy. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, they say it doesn't matter the publicity. But again, I didn't ask for this. I was waiting for the documentary to come out, so I was going to need books anyway, because when that comes out, I'm definitely going to sell a bunch of books. People want to know the story of how, the war that I went through and whatever I know about or whatever the other guests know about the previous wars. I won't say too much about that other than what I've heard from Greg or my Uncle Albert or different people like that were around that long. And we have some older mob guys that'll be on the show, as well as detectives and FBI agents. So it'll be a pretty well-rounded story of the Colombo Wars. And
when is that supposed to happen?
Well, we're going to film it this summer. Okay, so I'm just waiting on the exact dates. We're going to film locations where the meetings were, some, where most of the hits took place, different things like that. And some of the restaurants we went to, famous restaurants, they're always good. People will understand. They get a video, get a visual. And I'm going to narrate and host. And again, I think it'll be good. Joe Paletto's very good when he does something. Unfortunately, it's hard to get things done. This is going to happen, but it's a documentary. It's not like it may lead to, hopefully it opens the door to a series or even a movie. Just either one would work. It'll be a long movie. So Scorsese be the guy, but because he likes long movies, but we'll see. But in the meantime, my hand's getting tired of signing, but I promised I'll sign them until it gets to a point where I can't. Like
Scorsese, it'll be a good movie if it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We'll sell out. We'll probably become a million seller. The book will be a bestseller. So But yeah, I just I don't. I know you've seen it. That's when you called me, and I've seen them again. I get these things sent to me, so they wonder why I keep coming on. The latest is, I don't know if he sees it or not, but now this girl is sending out threatening posts to my wife. Threatening posts. Yeah, that's one of them.
Wow. And,
all he does is come on the TV when he gets his, he gets his little position, and he says, this guy's nuts. He's crazy. He's nuts. Why isn't he saying that about her? I ain't posting all this crazy ramblings and threatening people. It's nonsense. It's stupid. I can only think he doesn't know what's going out there. But I'm going to help her. I'm going to make sure every podcast I do, there'll be thousands and thousands of views of all her threats. She's putting them out there. I'll help her pass them along. Okay? And I just don't understand. I don't understand why he doesn't address her as being the nut. But you know what it is? Whenever somebody disagreed with his father, he would do the same thing. He's out of his mind. He's nuts. He's crazy. Like that makes it gospel. Just go,
Yeah.
He should be saying that about her, not me. Okay? Because just read the shit she writes.
This is what she says, right? She says, Anthony J. Rizzo, these people called the cops on me and got me. Yeah. I didn't say, I stole the RV. Just for what reason? So they can get some money in their pockets. Like that doesn't even make sense.
No, that's what I'm saying. Let everybody read it. Let the whole everything she puts out that we capture or people that watch my back, we're gonna put it out. I'm gonna help her show the world the type of person she is.
She says, I will definitely I want to give a goddamn what mob they have. I will definitely go to jail for good fight. So that's something they can send me to jail for. Let me
Wow.
woman come anywhere near me, that bitch that tried to get me arrested, and the whore and her motherfucking wannabe captain can keep sending people to me, but I want her, and the more they say, the more I will make it a point to find her.
Wow. Yeah. Listen.
Where, anywhere,
Listen.
and handle all this woman to woman without all her mob man wannabes. This is between me and her. It wasn't even Laverne's RV, so he couldn't have called the cops on me. They just want to deflect what really happened. Me and Junior had words, and the fucking mob attacked me. They sent this whore to be the mouthpiece to call his probation officer and the cops on us. I'll be dreaming of the day her, even if I have to move to the coast just so I can see her quicker. That will be worth any time they want to give me.
Yeah. Wow. You could say anything. That's what I say. You could say anything, especially when you're punching in and you know, the truth of the matter is, okay, if somebody's got something on their mind, broadcasting it is the last thing you want to do. Okay. And I've said that in the past. If I got something on my mind, the person will be the last one to know, but the first one to learn about it. Okay. You don't, and that's what I learned from the old man. You don't go broadcasting it. So I can't believe he sees this stuff. And because I mean, it's just destroying any argument he's trying to make or she's trying to make through him. Because to me, I just think he says whatever she says. She's in the background. We hear her in the background all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very peculiar. But all those threats and stuff, it's stupid, you know. And the other thing is this. I mean, what does she think? She's talking to somebody that's going to get scared? I mean, talking to maybe some trailer park trash neighbor that's going to run away or move away. I mean, really, nobody's getting nervous. Okay. And you know what? The other thing I'll tell her, she probably needs gas money to get to the other coast. Okay. And that's what she's forcing me to say. And that's when I talk about money and I talk about how successful I am. But that being said,
people don't like that, right? They don't like the success.
No, that kills her. But, you know, I want her to keep putting out there, too, that it's all Kelly. She was a vice president of the company. She had a great 25-year run, earning a great living. I'm nothing. I don't own anything but this shirt. That's why I wear this all the time on podcasts. I don't have, the gym isn't mine. My sports consulting business isn't mine. The watches I wear are not mine. Any money in my pocket is not mine. It all belongs to her.
The RV wasn't yours.
The RV was not mine. You know, it was, you know, I can't afford that stuff. Imagine how fast if the IRS thought I had owned the RV, how fast they'd come looking, or the government. Larry owns an RV, you know. So I'm a trainer at the gym, you know.
Yeah,
that's owned by my wife's corporation. So you know all that's but it definitely is jealousy for somebody to go on a rant and rave like that. And you know the liar route doesn't seem to be working that much. I mean, he's already backed off of that a little bit on his last video. He said, well, the whole book's not a lie. You first came out and said everything's a lie. It's all fiction. Now he's saying, well, some of it is true. All right, well, more and more of it is true. And
well, he came out first with you and said everything was true, and then he backpedaled, and then now he's saying it's not all a lie.
Right.
I don't think he knows where he stands.
I'm going to go back to this again. None of these mob books, especially written by autobiographies, okay? The ones written by writers are based on paperwork and whatever they read or they heard. None of them lived it, okay?
No.
When a guy writes a book like I did that I lived it, okay, other people, historians, are going to be fine-tuning things. Oh, but wait a minute. He said this. They're not history books. And the best part of that statement I just made is even history books are under scrutiny today because Christopher Columbus is a bad guy. He didn't They have nothing to do with finding America or finding pathways through the ocean. They thought the world was flat before he went on that trip. You know, they were going to fall off the end of the earth. Yeah. So history, you know, so they want to make it like mine is. I'm not trying to educate people about the mob life. We both agreed it's treachery, backstabbing, and that's what I put in the book. I don't build up the old man because I know what he was. Now, in hindsight, I know how bad he was. But she said that I lied in the book about saying about how much I made. No, I lied to them about how much I made.
Yeah, so you explain in the book that you lied.
I could keep more of the money. I'm not gonna. So that's being honest in the book. I could have said, "Oh, I would never lie to them. I was such a role model soldier." No, once I saw how they were, with Scarpa and themselves and whoever, and the money's got to come direct to me. I saw it in the first couple of years. So when when we lost, it was all on me. But when we won, the hands were out. So we learned to bullshit and say, we broke out even. We might have made 75,000 that week. We got through the week. We made and give them both a couple of thousand each, and they were happy. But when we lost,
just take that little bit of stash to the side. Right?
That's it. And then we gave them a little bit, but I was honest about it in the book. That's how Walk to Mind is. I was being honest about lying amongst liars in the book. That's all we were. Nobody was honest with each other. We just ripped each other off, and the higher up you got, the easier it was to rip your underlings off. So I'm not a fool. I knew to never tell them the exact amount of money. Even the bank score that we were going on that got screwed.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Oh, I had to hear about, it's in my book. I would hear about, possibly 20 million that we were going to get out of it with. And there was 8 cuts. Okay, I was one of them. Obviously, Greg Jr. was one. His right-hand man at the time was one. He's home right now. Big Jerry, Tony Frezza, Carmine, Bobby, Joe Brewster. Okay, those were the 8 guys that were doing the work. Then there was 3 more cuts. The family, Scarpa, and Big Greg. So by the time it gets dwindled down, we're not getting the 2 million each we were supposed to get. And I was listening to Bobby and Carmine talk about this all week. I wonder how much they're going to take right off the top, So one of my jobs on that score was once we got in, I was going to be a jackhammer guy. The younger, stronger guys were, obviously. And because I had a clean license and least likely to get pulled over or do something stupid, legitimate Larry.
Yeah, that's what they call you.
I was going to drive. I was going to drive the goods home every time we filled up a couple of duffel bags. Okay, because at any time the score could go bad if something happened. So at least we'd have stuff out in the meantime. So, and it was going to be a whole weekend process. George Washington's birthday that weekend, my birthday too. So I would be driving the stuff home. And I go right down Ocean Parkway. I go 30-second left turn right into my driveway and take out a few pieces to leave there for myself too. That's the life. That's what everybody does. Okay. And I was honest about that in the book too. I said, that's exactly what I would have done. And it would have made me feel better knowing all the guys that get screwed all the time by the higher ups. Like when we won big in the sports and they took an end out for Scarpa, or they told me, here's your half. We're keeping the other half, my partners. So they had me screwing my partners. It's not my life. I don't do those things. So that's when I started lying about how much we were really making. And that's how they don't know how much money we had in the street. They thought it was 60,000. That's what I paid on. And I'm not a week behind. To this day, I wasn't a week behind. Well, not to this day. Till the day I got pinched and I was in prison and they still came after it. But we went through that already.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I think
what ended up happening with that bank score?
No, we pinched. What happened was we had an alarm company in our pocket. The week before, Joe Brewster and I, because he kept taking me to when I would size up and looked at different places over. I went with him probably on 6 or 8 trips to Manhattan, all the way till we finalized this one. About a week before, Joe Brewster and I go, and he says, we're going to throw a rock at the window. We want to break the glass and see how long it takes for the cops to answer. Yeah. And I remember to this day, and you could go to my book. I mean, I don't remember exactly what I wrote, but about a minute and a half. That's an eternity. That's plenty of time for you to get out. If the alarm triggers off, a minute and a half, just count it off again. You're going to leave everything there, all the equipment, and just get out of there. So anyway, we broke that, and the vice president of the bank put a backup alarm system direct to the precinct. He didn't even tell the president of the bank. He didn't want our alarm company to know. He did not like that happening. And the next week, when we broke in and got closer to making this happen, the cops came. So everybody scattered. Who was in the truck outside was lucky enough to drive away. Me, Big Jerry, and Tony Frezza, we were going to be the main jackhammer guys. We got away. Coming around the block, Joe Brewster had left his car. Now, this is a middle of the winter, a blizzard, which was perfect. It was a great night to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
He parks his brand new caddy with jersey plates in that mall lot. So they came out the back, but as they were driving away, a cop noticed the car with jersey plates. They pulled him over. They found walkie-talkies, cinder block all over them, so, but even with all that, none of them did time. Greg did something, pulled the strings, and they got probation.
But he wasn't that big of a rat, right?
Well, they helped him there. He actually saved somebody. That's what I said. That's why a lot of people overlooked it. He saved them. He really did. He saved them from time. But it doesn't mean, again, going back to the half pregnant thing, you're working with them. So he brought, to go back to that, he brought up Jerry Lang's table. And I'll say the same thing I said last time. Yeah, maybe they did use his name, but why? There's other street informers. There's other known, top echelon informers, maybe not as high as him, and that's probably why they used him. But there was Lang's table. He never approached the Tony Jaguar that I knew about from even Goodfellas later on.
And that was from the commission trial. They were the bosses.
They got that car bugged. The thing about the minute you straightened out, that came out. Now, don't forget, Greg Jr. was away when all this was starting to trickle out. And, when it was hot in the fire and FBI agents were talking and testifying and the DA, the local cops, the task force, they were talking. We have a mutual friend, Tommy, that told us both a lot of details about things. And that's where him possibly being involved with his brother's death came from. I don't know that for sure, but it's been questioned. So there's a lot of stuff he put out there that led to indictments. That can't be that could never be changed, but to the other thing during the war, again, he wasn't there.
How long was he in prison for around the wartime and all that stuff? How long?
He went away in about 86, 87, probably 87. It was before the new law. Again, if I say the wrong year, it makes me a liar. But somewhere 87, 88, something in there. Because I got married in 86. He was at my wedding. So it had to be 87, give or take. But the war started, the Cold War. I refer to as that because I got knowledge that a lot of people don't have, that Greg was telling me about. There was rumblings. There was guys. Tommy O'Sara got killed. Different things were happening, but now I know, and now we know where he knew, and he kept telling me this family's headed for trouble. That went on for about a year, maybe more, but I knew about all that. Then eventually the attempt was made, but a lot of things happened, which is leading to one of the things he says. I've always said that Carmine and whoever he went with to do that hit, and I know who they are.
On Vic, right? To
kill Vic, they botched it. They were cowards to run away like that. We were in shootouts with his father. 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 shootouts. 3 of them with a guy named Joe, and 2 or 3 others with other crews of theirs. And plus we got shot at. And
what did they do? Freeze? All froze in the car? Like
who?
How did the hit get botched against Vic?
Well, again, I wasn't right there. I only know what I was told.
Yeah, what you
they
know?
Were pulling up, and Vic spotted them. That's what they said. Vic spotted them. That's what he told when Carmine came over to tell Greg afterwards. Okay, he says he spotted us, so we took off. I saw Greg was irritated at that, and my opinion is if Carmine should have put his ego aside and came to Greg sooner and says, we need to take him out. He's looking to hurt us. Okay, that was already out. That's what I'm getting to. But if he knew he wanted to go hit him, you bring Greg, and Greg will pick whoever he wants to go with him. And at that point, it probably would have been me and Jimmy and maybe Carmine, maybe. Okay, and we'll get this guy out of the way. And if he spotted us, we would have rammed his car. We would have chased him down. Whatever it took, he would have been gone. There would have been no war. Okay? So when I told that story, we talked about it with Gregory. He says, it's not a stupid thing to say. Okay? But he made a mistake. And I didn't jump all over it. He says, I would have told him, hey, Vic, I got to talk to you. I got to talk to you. And being a skipper, being a consigliere, you can. But not after a few days earlier at a funeral, Vic stood in front of all the men. And I was there with Greg. Okay, when he says that we have a split in this family. He says, anybody that got 2 weeks to come in, if they don't come in 2 weeks, they're dead. And then he pointed to the back. He says, look.
He said this right in front of Greg and everybody.
Well, but we're at a funeral, but we were the only ones there on the Persico side. The only ones at the funeral were Vic Arena people. But Greg says, we're going. Joe, it was either Joey Sapp or Johnny Sapp. He says, that's a friend, a lifelong friend. We're going to that funeral. So we went. We could have got killed there. but we went. And now Vic said, when he made that threat, he pointed to Greg and he had all the guys look, we even have Greg Scarpa with us. So they all turned around. I think a few of them clapped and whatever they did. But they thought, so at that moment, there was a split. And that threat gets back to Carmine. Instead of doing what I said previously, get back to Greg and figure this out, because he's the one you're going to listen to and lean on anyway. He goes and tries to take care of it himself. Maybe he had delusions that he'll step up and be the boss. I don't know. But he couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. That crew couldn't handle it.
And at that time, was Vic in contact with Greg? Like, were they talking behind the scenes or anything?
No, not as far as I know. No, we were going through business as usual for several weeks. Even after the split, even after the attempts and everything, because we were still looked at as neutral. Eventually, a couple of number runners died, and this is all in the book. And it caused beefs. It caused internal problems because the number was big money. It was big
money. It's costing a lot of money.
Hundreds of thousands. Right? So Billy, Wild Bill told one of them, you bring the numbers to me. But the guy was bringing them to Greg for years. Greg told him, no, you bring them to me. I'll take care of Billy. And the guy said, he's going to put me in an oil tank if I don't pay him. That's what he told me, Billy. So Greg laughed. He says, we'll take care of it. And again, it's all in the book. So we went one night. That was a major standoff. There's about 7 of us, literally 100 of arena people out there. And that's when I pulled down the block, and the guy that was in the car with me, Joe, says, don't stop. But I knew Greg was in the car behind me. I said, if I drive on and I go back to the pool room, he will rip me a new one in front of everybody. So even though I was concerned for our well-being, I was ready to fucking die right there, then go back to the pool room and have him berate me in front of anybody. So I pulled in, got out of the car, and this fella, he's out again. So I hate to use his name, but one of Wild Bill's guys, I know his name. We'll call him, let's just call him that old gum chiclets. You know, we'll use that. That's his nickname that probably won't get him in trouble. But he was the first one to come to me, and I remember telling him, because he had a piece out, and he's telling me, put my hands on the car. I says, am I arrested? And then he laughed, and we laughed. I said, Greg's here to see Billy. They went in. It was a historical meeting, okay? I was there. I know I wasn't in the room, but I was there. I was outside, as well as soldiers from the other side. But we were outnumbered. We would have been left there, slaughtered, if anything.
Were these guys like grilling you? Were they like looking at you?
No. What I did was I took my guys across the street, because They had a gun on top of a rifle on top of probably an AK or something like that on top of Billy's car. There were guys on the roofs. All their guys were loaded up. We had 7 of us, 7 38 and 32 revolvers, maybe 1 or 2 automatics. But
you didn't have them out though, right?
No. We had one ex-comp that had a Glock, and they came to me, the guys, our little soldier crew that was left. What do we do if we hear a gunshot? I looked at the cop, our ex-cop. I says, you fire at that guy, open up on him with the machine gun, and everybody just scattered. And as a matter of fact, I made a scatter. We were standing together. I says, let's everybody sort of nonchalantly step apart. And I was with Jimmy, and we had our escape route. Everybody, through a driveway, I saw where we were, but it didn't happen. And the funny thing is,
you didn't want to be too close together,
right,
just in
right.
case.
It would have been too easy. So that was one. The other number thing, it would happen. Another guy, Chuck, another Chuck altogether, also had. I'm sorry, Joe Beard. First one was Chuck. The second one, Joe Beard, also had numbers, and he was told to bring him to this Fat Sal, and he told him no. He's going to meet him at Joe Sapp's old luncheonette, Snaps. It's like a cafe luncheonette type of place, old school. So we get there early. There's 4 of us: me, Greg, Jimmy, and another friend, Richie, and maybe Rob. There might have been 5 of us. So we're waiting, and me and Jimmy are outside. So we see the big white Lincoln pull up. This is the guy that wants the numbers. So I open the door. I says, Greg, he's pulling up. So Greg gets up. We're going to talk outside where he is. He comes walking out. The guy sees him and takes off. There's only 4 of us, and there was 4 people in his car. But the other way around, when it was like literally 100 people, that's in testimony all over the place, against us 7 guys, we didn't run away.
They could have wiped you guys all out, right?
So it was like a war of nerves. That's my point. And we were winning it. So but that's when they knew we were now on Persico's side, because we stopped. We took the numbers. We stopped. We didn't turn into them. Nothing to do with them. We were on our own again, and it caused some friction.
So you guys, when they brung money, you guys kept it all. You didn't.
Well, we kept. We had coming. We had coming. And at that meeting that night, Nikki Black, when Joe Scarpa told Nikki, give Greg his money, give him his whatever it was, his 7, 8, 10,000. Nikki says, well, I thought we weren't going to pay these guys on the other side. He says, not him. He still wanted to see if he could get Greg. The next day, we go on our number run. We stop at 20th Avenue. All their heavyweights are in there. I'm not going to even list the names. Everyone that you could think of. The one I'll mention, Joe Scarpa comes out with Nikki Black, and I come out. Well, I came back out because I went in to call them, and Greg is outside. So I'm standing there with Greg, maybe 5 feet away. Nikki Black standing 5 feet behind Joe Scarpa. Joey tells him, because they had this meeting the other night, and they were hoping they could still patch it up. He tells Greg, he says, look, I want you to know how much we respect you, blah, 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 the bullshit. He says, you come direct to me from now on. So he was either making him a skipper or a boss's man, which he already was. But I think he was trying to make it look like he was going to become a skipper, go direct to him. You don't have to go through anybody else. So we still had another 2 weeks where it was sort of, we had carte blanche because we had both sides thinking we were with them.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, little things started happening, and eventually they knew where we stood, and that's when they made the attempt.
When's the last time you see Nikki Black?
The last time I seen him?
Before.
Oh,
he's done for.
Before that, I saw him in the newspaper, on the news, when they got subpoenaed to grand juries. And the funny thing is, he had the same outfit on. He was dressed like a hunter, like the hat and the plaid, the red-black plaid thing. Not the way he usually dresses.
Do you think he got subpoenaed had anything to do with Greg?
Oh, I don't know that for sure. I think what happened was the Brooklyn DA, I know this, again, at what point, was fed up with innocent people getting shot at, getting killed, getting hurt. And he said, I can't allow Brooklyn to be a shooting gallery forever. So they started hassling and ruffling our feathers, like coming into social clubs, shaking them down, pulling people over. We got pulled over 3 or 4 times, but we always had the scanner. So we knew they were following us. One time we actually came out, pulled around the block, and put everything back in the house, pulled out again, let them pull us over. We had nothing on us. So
yeah, but what do you guys do with the weapons when you're getting pulled over all these times? Do you guys not carry weapons on you?
I'm saying the times we got pulled over, we knew they were there, so we were clean. We had the scanner, so we were like, and we were listening to where they were hiding out. We were getting a lot of information off of that scanner. That was crazy. So anyway, she's putting the book back out there again, getting inserts, trying to say I'm a liar. But that one part kills me where she calls me a liar for telling the truth about lying to each other. And I took total credit. Yeah, I lied too in the street because you had to do that to survive or get some money in your pocket. That's why a lot of guys are broke in the street. They're yes men. They're not smart enough. They're not legitimate Larrys. So they make a score. They give up, 3/4 of it or whatever.
I mean, at first you were doing that, right? You were giving them everything. So you didn't know.
I was giving up half. I thought, I thought half was, reasonable. Once they started robbing ends here and there, and not, and I had to pay all the juice when we lost. I says, no. I says, we're going to make a few changes, and I did it, and I survived it.
So this is what she says. You may choose to engage in online hostility towards me. However, face-to-face encounter between your partner and myself would likely bring this matter to a swift resolution, regardless of however your police acquaintances are present or not, as I'm certainly they would be unable to restrain me from administrating a punishment she deserves. Now, she doesn't sound like she wrote that compared to the other.
That was too intelligent. But the one thing, she's got to realize is that I don't need any cop friends or anybody she's talking about to protect my wife. Okay.
Yeah, you can never let someone put their hands on your wife, regardless of who.
That's right. No, and my wife is a lady. She's a lady in every sense of the word. I'm not going to put her in the same room with trash like that, with that kind of talk. Okay, but she's not scaring anybody. She's just putting it out there, and whoever wrote that for her, at least did it grammatically. So that one I read, but I knew it wasn't her. So yeah, she's not scaring anybody. That's the sickening part.
Why is she so angry? Why is she so angry with you guys?
Jealous. That's all it could possibly be. Okay. And again, there's other people. There's not many because, what little I have, I'm a giving guy. I'm fair with people. I don't come on here and badmouth people. And I've said it before, other than my boss who did what he did to me and his son and everybody else. I'll never change my views on that. And Gregory shouldn't have changed his views either. But I think, after that little Wahlberg film and his sister or his half-sister, they heard maybe I have something coming out, or every time that happens, little Linda got mad at me. And I got phone calls so that's why I blocked us. Every time I'm trying to do something in my life, I got to hear her. She's going to sue me. Go ahead. I'll just change the names or whatever. It doesn't even matter. People wrote stories all the time. They write it based on, things in the court scripts and things like that.
Why did she want a piece of the stuff that you were doing?
Yeah. Like I don't need. It's my life story. I've said it a million times. And whoever
tell your own, right? Tell your own life story.
Yeah. I'm not talking about how Greg grew up in the streets and he had poverty and he wound up with the wrong. I don't even know what to say. It's just like the Mississippi burning. What would I know what to say? What does anybody know what to say? I'm curious to see Wahlberg's version of what really happened there. I mean, nobody knows for real. Nobody knows for sure. There's sealed documents. There's, all of a sudden it just comes out in the movie. It didn't come out during the first movie. Now it's going to come out, And I only know the one thing I heard from an agent. He did unspeakable things to them. So that's for your imagination. My imagination could run wild, but I think that is. I don't think it's a smack in the face. I don't think it's a, a point in your eye or something, unspeakable
He used
things.
stools probably on him.
Yeah.
I would
So
imagine.
they could say whatever they want. He also said it took a few more than just going to that store. Okay, he had to find out through some underlings where to go. Again, what all that means, I don't know. It's not like, and they might have just told me that to make it like they didn't direct him straight to that guy. There's possibilities like that, but I know what I was told. He had to go through a few underlings. Finally, they got to the guy, and unspeakable things were being done. So, and the movie's going to show it. We'll see what they say there. But the original, they didn't say it was a gangster in the original Mississippi Burning. So they lied. They lied in the original. They said it was an
Did Greg ever talk about his past, like
very
back
little,
in the day?
very little. He said, he didn't grow up in a family with a lot of money, workers and stuff like that. But he knew early on that he wanted more, and his brother was already a few years older than him and in the life. I don't know if he was already made or because I think, I don't know. I think he was. And that's what made it easy, not easier for Greg. Because he was around the top guys from way, way back. So again, I don't talk about that, and I'm not trying to do it now. I mean, I know little bits here and there,
Yeah.
but I know from 78 on everything I need to know from him and Linda and me being there the whole time.
She
And
even
through the
tried to
war,
say that you weren't even with Linda, right?
well, again, that's insane stuff. We put the thing out last time where she says Greg Jr. was sleeping with Linda. If that's the case, maybe he's the father of little Linda. I mean, that's a sick thing to put out. I didn't put it out. I never heard that. But once I saw it sent to me from her, how is he not addressing that? How did he not come out on his little video and say that is a complete lie? I didn't say it. Let her know that she's the one lying. She put it out there. They can't dispute it. We have it on record. It's all over Facebook, and that the father was sleeping with the Linda's best friend. Again, I didn't put that out. They, want to throw all this stuff around. And the last thing, well, not the last thing, once the lie stuff sort of, I was leading to that before, started slipping away a little bit.
Yeah.
Now I'm a racist.
They got to come up with something else, right?
Well, that's the Democrat Antifa way of doing things. If nothing else sticks, just call them a racist. Now, I'm going to explain a couple of things about that. First of all, the life story starts in the 70s and 80s, my life story, even the 60s, but not in that life, just my life story. Okay. And through the 70s, when I was in high school, there were racial riots, all people, blacks, whites, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, the Jews, everybody was fighting everybody. That was
there
the era.
segregation when you were younger and stuff?
No, that stopped. That was a thing. But now they started something called busing. So they would bus different ethnic groups all into a school. Okay. And there was tensions. That's the era. That's the era we grew up in. That being said, I wasn't a devout racist by no means. 0 on a scale of 1 to 10. I'll say a 1 because I favor my own race, Italians. I think everybody favors their own race. That doesn't make you a racist. Okay. No. I'll get to prison in a second, but
when you're proud of who you are, that doesn't mean
right. I played ball, every sport. So with every color person at the parties at the end of the year, we were all there. Everybody got along. We weren't that element that butted heads. We were athletes. There were other ones, the more thuggish, the guys hanging out on the corner, drinking and smoking and doing all the things your parents tell you not to do. Those were the ones that tended to get in these racial beefs.
Did Greg ever associate with any African Americans or Spanish?
Not that I know of, but I will say this. One time somebody owed me money, and there was a Spanish guy or Puerto Rican that owned a top nightclub. So the guy that owed, and he was friends with Greg. They were in business somewhere along the way together, maybe a nightclub. And the guy that owed the money went to this Spanish guy for help. When he came in to the club, Greg told the Spanish friend take a walk. Get out of here right now. He told the other guy, okay, now this is words from back then. You ever bring a spick to talk to me again? And went on, read him the riot act. And he chased him out. We got the money, whatever. Okay. A Mexican moved his family into a building that Carmine Sessa just bought. Okay. He didn't want him in the building. Wanted to keep 13th Avenue mostly Italian, like us. He tells the guy to leave. He don't leave. He comes to Greg. Now, of course, they're going to say I'm lying. Greg told Carmine, you ring his bell, you shoot him, and they'll be gone. Carmine did that. Those are racial things, okay? And again, it was the time period.
So Carmine does that. He doesn't get arrested for that. It goes on.
No, listen. You know how many murders were done that nobody got arrested for? I'm not saying he didn't have a mask on or sunglasses. I mean, I don't know the details. I wasn't on the hit with him, but I know it happened. So wait.
Just because he didn't like him.
So
didn't want him in the building.
I went through life in the street knowing there was tensions in my past. Not for me, but in the 70s. Once I got into this life, I didn't really think of it that much because I dealt with, other races, number guys in Coney Island, number guys, in Queens. And, they were all colors, all races, some women. I mean, whatever it was, it wasn't like we hated anybody. Also, and it always went both ways. Don't forget that. I got mugged in a black neighborhood. I got mugged. I lost my chain, but I fought them off pretty good, and they know it. I mean, the people that know that story. And the best part is, I was going into a nightclub, and everybody was in there already. Gregory, his right-hand man, Mario, Billy. I was the last one to come because I had to drive Greg back to the house after Little Linda's Sweet 16. And then we were all going to meet at this club. I got there was no parking, so I had to literally go around on the other side of the track, so to speak. And it was right behind the car wash, and I get mugged. I get hit with a bat, but I had my back against the car, so I was punching and kicking. So all they got was my chain off my neck, what they pulled. I had an expensive watch on. I had an expensive pinky ring. I had $3,000 something in my pocket. And actually, it was in my coat jacket, which they ran away with, but they dropped it. They threw it away. And I couldn't find my keys. They fell under the car. So anyway, I pick up the jacket. My money was still in there. So all they got was the chain. Yeah. But I mean, no, so this is what we grew up with. I mean, don't anybody try to be high and mighty. All right.
Yeah.
And now, when I got to that chapter in my book, and I've discussed this way at the beginning, and it went away, and it didn't slow my sales down one bit. When you get to prison, anything you knew about racism gets multiplied by maybe 1 million. Okay? The Italians stay together, the blacks stay together, the Muslims stay together, Mexicans stay together, Latin kings stay together. There's like 8, 10, the Aryan brother, they all stay on their own. Okay? And they breed it. Okay? What happens is sections in the cafeteria become Italian section, black section, everything is that way. And
the phone, outside, everything. Right. Yeah, everything.
Certain things, like when I played basketball, that's how I chose to do my time, play sports every day. The Italian guys would get mad at me because, most of the black guys like to play basketball. Yeah. I got along well with them. I had no problems at all. I did have a problem when I first came in because there were 3 of us in a county jail. And I was with this one white dude, big guy, and he had on his back white supremacy. And he would walk around, and he didn't give it, he didn't care, But he told me, he says, hey, they're going to test you. It's in the book. And the guy did test me, but I was ready for him coming up the steps, and I was top of my game back then. I hit him with a side kick. He goes flying back down the steps. I could have probably really hurt him bad. But I guess he started grabbing the banister on the way down. I followed him up. I hit him a few more times. And I told him, I says, did I ever call you the N-word? I didn't want to say it now. Did I ever call you that? And we were together on the bus. We talked. We came in. And I found out later he didn't even know what a guinea was when he called me a guinea. They told him, go up and find out about this guinea. He comes up. He says, where's the guinea? He didn't even know what it meant. He didn't even know what they put him up to. So he wasn't the smartest, the sharpest tool in the shed, as they say.
No.
But I was ready for him. And then for the rest of the time, my next 2 weeks in this horribly low-level, low-life place, and they took me there on purpose because they could have took me to MCC in Miami. But they were doing it to play games with me. For the next 2 weeks, because of that incident, I was getting apples. I was getting extra things. They would trade me when they gave me a little hockey puck for a burger. I said, I don't want that. They gave me their orange. And they called me, yo, Mafia. I made respect immediately. I got respect for myself. Yeah. And you're told to do that. But I didn't go do it. It came to me. This guy came to me, and I was warned. So I was ready for him. Anyway, getting back to the racist stuff. I can't write a chapter about jail with everybody holding hands, singing Christmas carols or Kumbaya or Hallelujah, praise Jesus. I can't do that. Okay? Because there's a lot of bitterness. If you're black, the Muslims are trying to bring you in. If you're white, the AB is trying to bring you in. If you're Italian, we're not even considered white. Go figure that. There's a box, white, Hispanic, black, Italian. That's how racist they are. Like, I'm not white. All of a sudden, let's think about that. We're our own entity in prisons. So I am not going to hold back on what I went through.
No.
And I'll say it again. If it's your first time in, and a lot of us it was, it's a culture shock. I never had to listen to blasting rap music 24/7. I never had to listen to that. Or guys 2 feet apart.
Speaking Spanish.
Well, not only that, like cackling ducks.
Yeah.
It goes on. I mean, or just two men talking, but yelling and hollering. That's how they say, hey, let me holler at you. Because they holler. They don't talk. They don't speak. There's no eloquence in prison. So, yeah, my chapter, I'll never change it. I'll stand behind it. And anybody that knows me before, now, knows that the barbershop I go to is in the middle of the hood in my town. It's called Made Men Barbershop. Okay. And I go in there, I get along with probably 20 black guys that just hang out there every day. They look forward to seeing me.
Yeah.
I come in, they talk to me. I have another buddy of mine that goes there now. But we sit, we talk. There's none of that. They hug me. And it's nothing fake. I become friends with these guys.
Racist people hate people. I mean, for her to even say that is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, because they're running out of steam. They're running out of arguments. What does Antifa do? What do they do to Trump? Trump's a Hitler? How stupid is that?
They come out with the wildest stuff.
Right. They tried lies. They tried gay. Now they're trying racist. But it's not going to work. And you can decipher every sentence in my book. Nothing will change. It's what I lived, what I was told firsthand. I didn't just go to newspapers and get stories out of the newspaper. I didn't need to. If I did that, the book would be another 400 pages. But
tell me about the associate thing. Because
I did. I told you. No, that came up in one of her rants and raves that I said something about, I don't know what an associate is. And in the context, I don't. I mean, an associate to me is a lawyer. They have associates, Yeah. And then you become a partner. The government labeled guys that weren't yet made associates. So I'm going to follow the government's words. Why would I follow what they call a guy? I still call him a friend, a partner, somebody, in the life with me or whatever. I'm not. It's associates.
Let's go see our associates. Like, you guys didn't go around calling, "Hey, we're in the mafia. Let's go see these guys that are in that mafia family."
Yeah, or tell somebody, "Hey, he's an associate." I mean, I just never heard of it. He's a friend. Maybe not a friend of ours. I learned that later on. I mean, I knew that early on when Greg was grooming me and telling me what to expect down the road. He says, "I tell if he's a friend, he's just somebody." He never said associate. He said he's not a mate guy. He didn't call him. Well, he's an associate. But later on, he says, if I say he's a friend of ours, that's when I understood, and I would get up and walk out unless he said, no, you can stay, which happened a lot.
I mean, the police use a lot of different language and
right.
label.
Right.
these
Right.
guys
Exactly.
certain things, and
Yeah,
they use that kind of language.
Yeah. You
But-
talk to a cop, they ascertain things. Imagine me coming in and say, "Well, I ascertained that this guy that owes me money is on the lam." Yeah,
I ascertain the money.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know. So my book is written in a way that it goes from point A to point B, the ending, and most people can't put it down. Most of it, and I say documented because of trials and different things like that, and many versions. Some of it, of course, it's undocumented. And here's the other thing. Like, there's a lot of hits that we did, and not every hit has every person named. Okay, and I know that firsthand because one of the hits that I was involved in, okay, I just didn't mention Bobby Zan. And there was
you said about 24, right?
Yeah, that I was in some way associated with. Yeah, from the beginning, associated. And I just got it in my head. Somehow, I was an accomplice. Well, on it somehow, to some extent, whatever it was, low level to higher level. Again, during the war.
Yeah, but that is using that word that way is a different context, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I did it with my associates.
Yeah. There was certain hits that
I didn't name everybody.
I didn't exactly, and they even asked me because they already knew. Okay, I didn't want to throw more mud on a guy like Bobby Zan because Bobby Zan was more like me than a lot of the other guys. He loved people. He was fair. So was Joe Brewster. They were very giving. If they saw you out, you couldn't pick up a check. Bobby and I were celled in the same cell for months. As a matter of fact, when they started taking me in and out like nightly, having my lawyer make me listen to tapes that they were saying things and showing me paperwork, which is in my book, how they were going to blame Greg, me, and Jimmy for the whole war. And a lot of stuff started coming out. You got to figure your future. So anyway, I'm in the cell with Bobby. And the last night, after I finally got them to allow Jimmy to be part of any deal I make, I said, I'm not flipping on him. There's no way. Not happening. If you want, he'll come in and we'll work it out together. And that morning, I got out of my top bunk and I woke Bobby up. And I said to Bobby, he was like half asleep. I said, Bobby, don't worry about me. You got nothing to worry about. I don't know if he knew exactly what I meant, but he gave me sort of a thumbs up. He said, I'll see you later. I mean, figuring that they thought I kept going out, that I was making a deal, which I wasn't. But that morning I was, because now I knew they were going to accept Jimmy. I didn't want to capture him, make news, say something up. So finally, when they said Jimmy could come in with you under the same umbrella, the same deal, which wasn't the greatest of deals, but I didn't have that much to give them, just the corruption. At that point, like I said, they knew everything. So they said to me, one of the agents says, you have a hard time talking about Bobby Zan. I says, yeah. And there was one other one I had a hard time talking about, Larry Fiorenza. To me, some guys were, well, not Bobby as much. I won't use the harsh word, but somebody like Larry Fiorenza was a victim. Okay. He was in jail for 8 years. He just came out of jail. Carmine Sessa calls for him. Guy's on probation. Okay. You want to have him hanging around all of us during a war with a gun, tell him to lay low. Give him some time. He brought him right into the mix. Poor guy winds up on our indictment. Yeah. And it's difficult, so they knew there was those two guys and they said, that's okay. Because they already had Carmine, they had Joe Brains, they had Greg, they had a parade of witnesses. So what's the difference, I just want, it's like, what do they say when your karate master teaches you? He won't teach you everything. He leaves something out.
Yeah, they don't want you to get better than them.
Exactly.
Kicking their ass.
So, but they were, I guess they understood. They understood that maybe that would make, would taint the case or a witness if he wasn't harsh enough on somebody, But But again, that's
Now,
just me talking now. But I don't know what their thinking is. But
if you never met Greg, do you think you would ever ended up killing people or getting involved the way you have?
Not unless it was self-defense. Okay, not unless it was self-defense. But again, being in the life, you're groomed, you're taught, you're educated, you're brought along slowly. And now you get in, and there's the camaraderie that we talked about on the show with Gregory, all the guys laughing and trusting each other until you learn. It's, what was that song? Beware of the backstabbers. They come with a smiling face. Remember that song, that old OJ's?
Yeah.
That's the way it is. They'll smile, take the drug money, they'll smile. They'll, do anything for the almighty dollar.
But you don't find out there's any treachery until you find out Greg is a complete.
No,
Greg
I started seeing it early on when I saw, like I said, the greediness and lying to people and not being, hearing different stories and bragging, people bragging about things, some things that they didn't do.
That never happened. Like, this is for Carmine and stuff like that, right?
That was ridiculous. But the Mimi hit. He, I don't know, but he told me he did it. Why would he tell me that if he didn't? Or does he just want to build himself up even more? He didn't need to do that. I don't think he needed to do that. So I don't know. But again, I've been around a guy that was around a long time, and he insists he didn't do it. So, I only could write and talk about what I was told firsthand or lived firsthand. And it doesn't mean everything I was told was true. I mean, it's things that happen. But again, there's so much. And I told you, I get calls all the time. Why'd you leave this out? Why'd you leave that out? And I just tell them, because it's not going to be.
It's too much.
It's taken away from the story, my life story.
Yeah.
Okay. If we ever did a series, right? I've got so many characters I can develop. I'll just throw two of them out there. Junior Persico and the corrupt agent. You could get 2 seasons just out of them two, talking about, to give a little history on Junior Persico. There's not much out there on him as far as movies and stuff. So that would be a good one. The Vecchio would be a good one. The alleged bad FBI agent. And some of the guys, Greg Jr. would be a great, because of the things he did. I don't put him in my book that much. Only on things that mattered,
Yeah.
I didn't give details of every hit he ever did, or details of the drug business. I had nothing to do with it. But I did know of hits, and I put them in there. But that would be
Maria doesn't know anything from anything. Like, she only knows what Junior told her. She hasn't even been with him for that long.
Or what she's reading. She's reading my book. She's reading, probably getting paperwork. We all have paper. I got 302s here. I've got things on other people from my case when I was fighting my case. I know. Yeah. And I saw blacked out names. And I'm saying, who the fuck is this? Now I know who it was. It was Greg. Top echelon, blocked out.
Now, why would Junior be kind of defending him now? Do you think it's just because it's his dad?
Well, yeah, to some extent. But he could have done that when we first did our show. We did our show, and we were in agreement that he called him an evil genius. I called him a master manipulator. He didn't say, how dare you call my father that? He said, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Because it is. Those are the words that you want to use for this guy. Greedy. His own daughter, Debbie, said he was greedy and he was cheap, So all of that stuff, I don't know why I don't know. I can only think his strings are being pulled by those 2 girls, But now,
are they back together? Are they back together now?
I think so, based on the last film clip that came to me. I think she was filming him. I think she was talking in the background, as always, telling him what to say.
The last thing you seen that they broke up again, and now they're back together.
Well, I spoke to one of his family members, and I heard they broke up. Was told he'll go running back. So I don't know. I guess he's dependent on her, but She called, he should address what she did to the brother and sister, that none of them talk.
And I did reach out to Junior to see if he would come on, and he never responded. He did read the message, but he never responded.
Yeah. No, because, listen, it's like I'm not going to go on that millennial show, or I'm not going to go on a show with his girlfriend that she's filming things now. Why would I go on with her? It's going to just be a Jerry Springer fight. Yeah. You're a liar. Your wife's a whore. Yeah. What am I going to go sit with garbage like that? I couldn't even do it on the screen. Right now.
Yeah.
So
I think she just needs to stay out of it.
Let her keep putting stuff out. It gets to me. I'm not on her. I'm blocked from her, and she's blocked from me. So I only get it through other people that watch her. It's not that many. I think they're losing more members, and I'm gaining more members as this goes on. I mean, what a flurry of book sales. It's amazing. It's just amazing, And what they should do is write a friggin' book, even if you do illustrations like a child's book, just to get something out of this, instead of just slandering people and threatening people. But I'm going to help her. Like I said, everything she sends, I will put it out there for thousands and thousands of people to see. She's put it out there. If she doesn't put it out there, I won't show anybody. But she's putting it out there. She knows somehow it's getting to us. And also, infringing on the copyrights, that's going to backfire. Showing my book on there, I've already got attorneys on it. So, nothing.
You think this stuff will stop? Do you think this stuff will stop?
I let it keep going. Let Facebook write me a check now. Let them write me a check for allowing slander and, infringement of copyrights. That's what's happening. It says it right on the back. You can't use this. They say it on every movie, on every book, on every TV sporting event. Any reproduction, rebroadcast is against the law. So, there'll be a lawsuit.
What are they going to do? Give you your RV back?
No, as a matter of fact, one of her posts came out. She's the big winner because she got the RV. No, we're the big winners because we got the RV out of our name and got you out of our life.
Yeah.
But you can't let us go. We are taking up so much space in her head. I should charge her rent.
Yeah.
I should charge her rent.
It's insane. It
is. It's ridiculous. So yeah.
But any final thoughts on this whole situation?
No, I think, like I said, there's a lot of things that we touched on, going from liar to gay to racist. I'm waiting to see what's next. I mean, I don't even know. But some of the stuff that she's putting out about, the associate and I lied in the book. I lied to each other in the book, but I was honest about telling you that we all lied, and I did too.
But her threatening your wife is just crossing the line. Like that's the threats. Like, come on.
Yeah, and really, you don't do that if you really got. If you it's just stupid. You want to be a. I wouldn't do that. I'm not.
She's hanging out with an ex-gangster, so she thinks she's a gangster now, right?
Maybe. But again, if I got something on my mind, I'm not going to go on Facebook and tell everybody about it. I mean, that just shows you her IQ. You don't do things like that. No, really. I mean, it's totally. I said it's like Antifa. Those people, they just, she'd be better off working for them. She'd make more money.
Yeah, I heard they get paid. Democrat rep or something.
Yeah,
right.
So, but yeah, well.
Thank you for joining me, man. And if anything else pops up, let me know.
If I get more threatening texts like that, or not me, but they come through the grapevine, or if he wants to do another video and come in and bring something else up, maybe he'll say, well, I'm finding out more and more is true. I don't know. But at least he broke on that a little bit, where not everything's a lie. Oh, he's crazy. It's just all fiction. I don't think so. And I don't think 99.9% of the people that have been following me since I came home almost are believing it.
Yeah.
Maybe some new people, or, the people they have around them now, or their 18 followers. I don't know. But she wants it out there. Keep sending it. Keep posting. And I'll make sure I get it out there that thousands of people will see it.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, Billy.
Definitely.
I'll see you soon. Maybe I'll
All
see you
right.
at the casino.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I'll
that'd
be
be
there.
good.
If
All
you
right.
like the show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too bad, start your own podcast. Peace. Thanks, man.
Take care.